Hey YouTube, hi there. Back for another video. My name is First Age, not really, and I'm here to talk about something a little bit different today, or this evening as it is now. Clue is sort of like just over there. Cepheus Deluxe. I want to talk about Cepheus Deluxe and why it's fabulous, amazing, and you should immediately go and buy it and run it, play it now, please. Okay, Cepheus Deluxe then. Let me talk a little bit about that. I'm going to do a quick flick through of the book, I think, just to touch on some points of it. It's a great role-playing game. It's a science fiction role-playing game. Let me talk a little bit about it. I'm going to pretend that you don't know anything about Traveller. Is that possible? Oh, it is. It's probably possible. But I will try and sort of ride that balance between people who know something about travel and people who don't. Cepheus Deluxe has just come out, and it's really very, very good indeed. And I want to talk about it. It's a 2d6 science fiction role-playing game in a classic mould. Its lineage is that it is all open gaming content. It is derived from the Traveller system reference document that was built up around about the Mongoose Publishing Traveller first edition. And this is a really, really good sort of version of Traveller. And I'm going to recommend it to you because I think this version of Traveller is my base version now. And that's despite the sort of more expensive, glossier versions of Traveller that you can get. I think this one probably wins, and I'm going to explain why soonish. So, do you get tingles? It's a bit of a personal question, actually. I'm sorry, but we've got to know each other now, don't we? Do you get tingles? I get tingles. It's when you pick up a new game, or in this case, a new expression of a game that you know, and you get the tingles. The tingles means you're excited, and you kind of want to get it to the table right now, even if you can't. And I got the tingles with Cepheus Deluxe. I got the tingles with 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and look what happened there. Cepheus Deluxe. Okay, so I'm going to switch to page view in a moment of sort of technical brilliance, and we're going to I don't know. We're going to sort of take a look through it, I think. Ready for the transition. Seamless. Watch this. Wow. That's amazing. Who knew? So, Cepheus Deluxe. Stellagama Publishing. Omer Golan Joel. Thank you, Omer, for putting this together. Richard Hazelwood, Josh Peters, and Robert L.S. Weaver. Tiberius Kirk or something. The 4 of them have come together and produced this marvellous version of Traveller. So Traveller is a very simple 2d6 science fiction role-playing game. It's a very complete game. So what you get with this book is everything to create characters, to create worlds, to create starships, to create trading opportunities, personal combat, vehicle combat, chases, animal encounters, building robots. All the stuff, all the tools that you might need are all in this book. All of them. And it retails as a PDF on drive-through because it's all open gaming content. Omer's managed to put this out under Stellagama for just over £7 UK. Do the conversion wherever you are. That's it. And you get 200 plus pages of amazing science fiction content in the Traveller mould. So it's humanocentric. It's got some assumptions built in, although those assumptions are tweaked a little bit in this version. Information travels at the speed of a starship, so information doesn't propagate that quickly. Starships can move between the stars, and in a week's time they can travel anywhere between 1 and 6 parsecs, a parsecs being sort of 3.26 light years or so, and so those people who travellers, are the glue that sort of keeps everything together and creates polities and empires and a sense of community across the stars. Otherwise, we'd all be isolated on our worlds. Technology runs from, you know, very, very early tech, sort of Stone Age almost, right through to very high tech, and that's all given ratings in the standard Traveller way. For those of you who know Traveller, it's got all the Traveller DNA in it, so it's got everything kind of you would expect. The standard characteristics, the attributes for the game. It has fairly standard skills. Well, we'll have a little look at those. It is 2d6. You roll 2d6. You try to get typically 8 or more on your 2 6-sided dice, and your bonuses are typically a bonus from your characteristic, your attribute, which is generally sort of 0, 1, or maybe -1, and maybe a +2 if you're really, really sort of stacked in a particular attribute, and your skill. And your skills are rated from 0 to 5. So, yeah, that's kind of about it. But we'll dig into the book now and have a little look at it. And somewhere I've got a thing. So this is Cepheus Deluxe. We're going to do a bit of a scrolly scroll. I'm not going to go through the entire book. It will take us a little bit of time to do that. But as you can see, it's 2d6 OGLs and so on and so forth. Basic rules are as I've described. You can see down here the common target numbers, 8+ for sort of standard average tasks. Roll when something's important, but difficult to 10+, 12+, 14+, and so on. So as things go up in difficulty, it becomes a little bit harder to achieve that. Your effect is if you roll 2 dice, you add your skill and you add your attributes to it. Your characteristics. Sorry, I keep on the attributes down. And you get, let's say it's an 8+ needed, and you get a 10. Well, your effect is 2 because you've got 2 more than what you needed, and those effects have effects in play. So that's the basic rules, and everything builds off that. It's really, really simple to play and great fun. Skills are built up as usual. You've got a nice skill list. One of the things I like about Cepheus, word on the pronunciation, Cepheus is probably a British pronunciation. That's why I pronounce it that way. I think if you're American, you might want to say Cepheus, and if you're illiterate, you might say Cepheus. I don't mind which. It's fine. Whatever. But anyway, the skill list. The skill list is sort of cut down a little bit. So there's some amalgamation of skills, and there are no specializations. So if you've got engineering, you've got engineering. You don't have to have engineering fridge freezers or engineering jump drives. You've just got engineering, which is great. Gun combat, if you've got gun combat, you can shoot guns, that sort of thing. So it's a nice cut down and simple skill list, and with some examples about how to do it. I do like that, and it's really, really, I've really taken to that actually in a big way. Let me just go back though a couple of pages to page 12. I want to talk about this. So, Cepheus Deluxe adds in some components from other 2d6 OGL games. As you probably know, and if you don't, I'll tell you, the 2d6 science fiction sort of family of games is very adaptable. So you can plug in pieces from all over the place. Stellagama have also given us, Sword of Cepheus, and that's got some sword and sorcery. So you can actually, if you wanted to, you could weave some of the sword and sorcery into Cepheus Deluxe and have some, some sorcery in your magical science fiction, if you wanted to. Here's an example of something that they've put in, and there are a few examples which I'll show you, which, again, you might see things like this in the Mongoose Publishing's 2nd edition companion that goes with Traveller, and indeed probably elsewhere. So that's great, but it's lovely to see them all in one place and integral with the design. So you've got a hero point pool, and characters have hero points. You start with 2 personal ones. You can also have group hero points as well. every time you get an effect of 6, remember a 6 is 6 over what you needed, so you've effectively rolled a 14 if you need an 8+ with your skills thrown in as well. Then the group hero point will increase by 1, so you can increment and increase the number of hero points. Sorry, each time you fail a characteristic or target number 8+ with an effect of -6, the group goes up by 1. If you succeed, your individual hero points go up by 1. So there's a mechanism for increasing them. How do you spend them? Well, you spend them on re-rolling a single die roll. So if you want to if you roll rubbish, you can spend a hero point and roll again, and you pick the better of the 2 results. Or you can force a re-roll from the referee if they've rolled particularly well. No, do that again. Do that again. Don't want that. But the second result always wins on that one. Always comes through. And there's some stuff about bio-reconstruction. It's important. Or, of course, you could just have individual hero points. They've thrown this in as a hero point mechanic. There is a slightly operatic tinge, I'm going to say, to Cepheus Deluxe, which is quite nice. But I thought I'd pick that out. The next place I want to go to is another, well, I'm going to say an innovation. I think this is in sort of Cepheus at least, and it might be elsewhere in the Cepheus family, but it's nice to see it here. So this is skill advancement. Now, you may have heard, you may not, that Traveller doesn't have an advancement system, and it always has. It's always had some kind of background training ability where you basically time keep some training, and then when you get to a certain point, you make an education roll. And if you roll well enough, at 8+ or whatever it is that you need to roll, you can increment a skill by 1, which is fine. It does involve a bit of, sort of fiddly bookkeeping. Did I devote my full week to learning, or did I squander it on TV or something? Well, this is even simpler. It just says every session you get an experience point. It's not revolutionary, but for Traveller it's quite nice, and you just basically increment, or maybe 2 if you're outstanding. I don't know how you decide whether you're outstanding or not. Probably up to the referee or something. But as you can see there, if you look at the little table here, as you increment your points being prizes, you can increase a skill. So it sort of abstracts that sort of training idea and just makes it simple to apply. And to be honest, I quite like that. That kind of works for me, so I'll stick with that. So that's quite nice to see that. Let's have a look at careers. One of the great things about Traveller in all its incarnations is its life path. So you start in a career, you go through a term of 4 years, you increment out of that, and then you have another term, and you have a sequence of terms which will provide you with skills, events, life events, possibly some advancements in your career, and ultimately when you leave your career, sort of a series of benefits that having been in that career for some time. I really like how Stellagama have put this together for Cepheus Deluxe, and it wins for me big style. The first thing I will note about the character career progression system is that for once, and bear in mind I'm coming from Mongoose, this is unambiguous how it works. And Mongoose, even 2nd edition, is not clear in places, even with a flowchart. The flowchart is flawed. Exactly how it works. This is just very, very clear. It's very simple to apply. So it works in a very similar way to all Travellers, except the key difference here is that as you go through your careers, and I'll show you a career in a minute, I'll show you one of the careers, you select your skills. So rather than rolling randomly for them, to be honest, a lot of people house roll it and say, "Oh, just pick your skills." But this just says, no, you will pick your skills. You pick the skills you want. So you come out with the skill packages that you really like. Now, there's an argument that the random nature of it is quite nice, and it means that you have to think around about how and why your character's got those skills. Kind of fair enough, but actually, why not just pick them? The thing that's random is the random life events. We'll have a look at life events in a moment, and this is life doing its thing on you. You know, you can't control what life throws at you always, even if you want to. Aging is still a thing. So after you get to 34, you'll start to make aging rolls. They can be modified slightly by the tech level from which you've come. And then you muster out, and then you start playing. Great. Let's look at one of the careers. The first one, in fact, which is the agent. So here we are. You're a police officer, government or corporate spy, or a private investigator. Okay. And you start with level 0 in all your service skills, and then you pick one of your service skills. Level 0 doesn't sound a great deal for those of you who don't play Traveller. Level 0 is important. 2 dice, 8+. You have no skill. You've got a DM of -3. It's pretty bad. So you know, if you're going to do something, try and at least have a skill level 0. It's a level playing field. It gives you a chance to succeed. So level 0 is so you get a grounding in your skills, and then you start to increment and get skill picks. If you're suitably bright and educated, you can also pick from the advanced education list as well. Very familiar territory, but you just pick. I think it's every 2 whole levels. Sounds a bit like 4E for now. Every 2 whole levels, you get a increase in your advancement in your career. You're in all the life events, or all the career events, should I say, rather than life events, career events. You also have a chance to get promoted. So random events can also propel you forward. And yeah, so you've got your event table. So you roll, and there's all sorts of things can happen to you. You record that, and then you have several of these if you stick with it. Stick being an agent. Yeah, and that gives you some flavour to your character. Now, I will say that obviously the skill lists are designed to be flavoured to the type of career. If you're in the army now, you'll have more about gun combats and blowing things up and demolitions and driving big grav tanks and things. Great. And obviously your army events are going to be different. Life events actually are something else, which I'll share, because you can always have life events. I think this probably calls life events somewhere in here, or I think it does anyway. There it is, life event. If you get a 7 on your career event, you have to go to life event and see what life throws at you, never mind what your career's throwing at you. Anyway, it's brill. It's very simple, very quick, and you get a nice flavoured character with appropriate skills at the end of it. And there's loads of careers, loads of different types of careers. You pick a career and off you go. Nobles are now called elites because you're basically upper crust. You're, a CEO, an executive, something like that. Awesome. Let me take you to page 41. There's probably a reason why I'm doing this. Traits. So this is another, I'm going to call this an innovation. I'll bet it's in the other Cepheus family somewhere. People will be shouting at me, yeah, of course, it's already in wherever. Who cares? It's here. It's here now, and it's part of the game. Traits are another thing that you get. I think it's every 2 levels again. You get every two levels. Honestly, I've been playing too much D&D. 2 terms. Every 2 terms, I think it is. You get a trait. If it's something else, I'm sorry. I've only literally just skimmed the game. I love it. So you pick a trait, and traits give you kind of like a thematic, emblematic almost, special ability, which you can do. So let's pick the first one. So there are several types of traits. So here is a page of skill-related traits. I think there's over 90 traits in the game. So what does Acrobat give you? Well, some of them have prerequisites. So you need to have athletics level 2 to be able to be an acrobat. And you roll with advantage whenever the character performs high-flying feats of athletics, swinging from ropes, running across wires, parquet, rooftop to rooftop. Roll with advantage, you roll 3d6 and you drop the lowest or keep the best 2. So it's a big bonus, a big boost. And so basically you're blooming ace at something. And then of course you add on your skill and you add on your attribute, probably in this case, or your characteristic, in this case, probably dexterity. Wonderful. And there's loads of them. So I'll do a quick spin through. Lots of skill traits, I said. Combat traits. Yeah, I want to be a sniper. Killing unsuspecting people. Aren't you lovely? From a distance. This one isn't actually an advantage, but it does give you an extra 1d to your attack damage. Melee combat traits. Blind fighting. Signature weapon. Gunslinger. I want to be a gunslinger. That's basically cleave in D&D terms. I drop somebody with my handgun. I shoot somebody else straight away or whatever. More combat traits. You almost think that there's a possibility your characters might get into some combat. Might happen. Vehicle and spacecraft traits. It's not easy to say. I'm tired actually. I'm an ace. Piloting 1. Gifted. When throwing for a position, I'll come to position in a minute. Position's ace. It's another wonderful little feature in this game. I love the idea of position. It's basically like a sort of super initiative. Then you throw two dice and take the higher. So you roll your, because you typically want to throw 1d6 for a position, you throw 2 and take the best. That's really good. Position is important. Loads of other ones. Anyway, traits. They're a really nice addition to character generation. You've picked your skills, you've designed them. You get a good range of skills. You get a good number. It's roughly equivalent to the classic, probably expanded sort of book, book 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably not 8. That's robots, wasn't it? So you get a really good number of skills. I think just right, bearing in mind, of course, you don't have all these specializations. So you're not kind of blowing skill points or skill up increases for specializations because you've got just the core skills. I've got the feeling you're going to have some nice rounded characters after a few terms. Traits. I'm going to jump to another thing. Just another example of an optional rule. You don't have to apply it. They're optional. The hero points is completely optional. You can just ignore those. Here's another one: dodge and parry. Basically, what this is saying is that people who know their way around gun combat know their way around combat, and therefore are more difficult to pin down and hurt. And you simply put your gun combat skill is a minus DM to somebody trying to shoot you. And similarly with melee, your melee skill is a minus DM. Parry to being hit with an axe or something, whatever. So kind of heroic stuff again. They've thrown in a heroic option. There are the usual range of DMs, dice modifiers. They still apply. So there are some there's some meat to these sort of fast-flowing operatic bones, and very, very familiar. They've even got grappling rules, which, as usual, I don't bother reading. What else? What have we got next? Ooh, yeah, okay. Here's a big one. This one will mean more to your traveller hack like me. Wounds. So in classic traveller, strength, endurance, dexterity are your 3 physical characteristics, and typically in traveller they're also kind of like your hit points. So if you take damage initially, you'll drop it off your endurance, your stats will go down, your bonuses will go down because your stats are going down, and when you lose 1 you're hurt, when you lose 2 you're unconscious, and when you lose all 3 of your stats, they're all 0, you're dead. This game does something quite different. It pulls out like a wound, a stamina and a lifeblood track out of your endurance characteristic. So if you've got a characteristic endurance, let's say of 8, then your base stamina is 8. It's actually your endurance characteristic plus your athletics skill. So if you've got athletics skill of 2 and a endurance of 8, then your stamina is going to be 10. And lifeblood is double that. So in that case, your lifeblood would be 20. Stamina is being able to shake off light wounds very easily. So that, if you like, it's a buffer. So as it says there, if your stamina is above 0, you're not wounded, you're only bruised or scuffed. So it's like a pool. You've got about, I don't know, depends what your endurance is and your athletics, but you've got this pool which kind of buffers you in a heroic way. And they come back very quickly. So stamina is a fast-flowing and usually available resource to survive in combat, and it's the first thing that's touched. If your stamina runs out, then you have to take the rest in lifeblood. So you're starting to get proper wounds now. If it's above half, you are minor wounded and you're a DM of -1. If you're below half, you're seriously wounded. You've got to throw an 8+ endurance test, or you fall unconscious, and you suffer a DM -2 to all actions until you're healed. If your lifeblood reaches 0, you will die unless you undergo the aforementioned trauma surgery, which involves, also trying to plug you back together again. It's terrible. And there's some other rules about heroes and grunts, which is quite nice. Sort of mook rules, which I kind of approve of. Again, slightly heroic, optional. You don't have to play it, but it's nice to have them all in here so you can jump around. I like what they've done there. I think that's really, really good. What else are we going to look at? Weapon effects on vehicles. So I'm jumping around quite a bit. But what I'm showing you is some of the things that I think are quite different. In places simplified, I think, for good thematic play. So here's just an example. Weapons in the game are effectively rated by their size. Effectively, small arms is something that you can just carry. Heavy weapons, your sort of larger rocket launchers and goodness knows what else, sort of plasma guns, I suppose. Gunnery weapons are things probably sat on starships actually. So a vehicle is rated with an armour of either unarmoured, light armour or heavy armour. Simple as that. It's simplified from quite a number of the Traveller games. And you can see here, it's a simple matrix. So a small arms weapon, if it's fighting a vehicle, it's shooting a vehicle that's got light armour, it's not going to do anything. Unless you get an effect of 6 on your roll. And then what happens there is you shift the result to the left. So rather than it being a none, it gets to be a surface result. So you can shoot at some sort of lightly armoured vehicle with your pop gun, and if you roll a 6+, something happens. And the something happens is you then start to roll on the 2 dice surface damage table, and you get a result of some description. Possibly not that much, although it does cascade. So if you then roll a 12+, you then roll on the internal damage table. That gets even worse. So you can cascade into big results. But it's a really nice way of doing it. It's a very, very, very simple way of doing it. If a starship shoots at an unarmoured vehicle, well, don't roll any dice. It just blows up in a horrendous fireball. Great. That simple way of using armour against scales and grades of weapon is also carried through into starships with a separate but very sort of complementary style of table. Works. I think that's going to work really well. I haven't used it yet, of course. I haven't played the game, but as a way of doing things, yeah, I think I can get behind that. I've mentioned position already. I want to go to position. Position, space combat. I think it's also used in vehicle chases as well. Space combat in Cepheus Deluxe is genius. It's genius. It borrows and uses ideas from all over the place, but again, it's the blend. And one of the things about Cepheus Deluxe, I was actually literally just thinking about playing some more Traveller. I wanted to go back to Traveller, And, you know, I thought, I'll do a bit of a blend. I might do a little bit of this. I might pick out some pieces of this and that. And, of course, blending rules in 2d6 science fiction is absolutely a thing. And then I read this. And I thought, that's kind of my blend. Or, no, it's not. No, I'm flattering myself. That's better than any blend I was going to come up with. A lot better. And one of the things I will steal anyway, I'm running Mongoose Traveller 2nd edition tomorrow, because it's all set up. If I set it up now, I would use Cepheus Deluxe. But position, I might pinch for tomorrow. So what's position? So rather than measuring lots of ranges and working out relative distances between potentially lots of different starship opponents in a space battle, everybody rolls for position, and it's an abstraction, and it kind of abstracts relative position, speed, range, firing positions, and you roll 1d6 plus your piloting skill plus your dex of your pilot plus the ship's current maneuver rating, which is typically between 1 and 6. So fast ships will do better. They'll be able to maneuver into better positions. You then look at the comparative positions between all the ships, and it's like an initiative. So the ship with the highest position can go first. It can choose to wait and go a bit later, but it has the option of going first. Not only that, but your relative position versus your opponents modifies your dice roll to actually hit your opponent. And you can see the table a little bit further down here. Here it is. So if you're in an inferior position, so your position is 5 and your opponent's position is 6, then you're in an inferior position. You have turret-based weapons. You've got a dice modifier of -3 to hit your better positioned opponent. So position is really, really critical in this game. It's abstracting, but it's really good. And similarly, as you go up your position levels, then your opportunity to get a better dice roll gets better and better. Main guns or fixed mounts. So these are your heavy turbo lasers or your spinal mounts. If you're in an inferior position with these weapons, you just can't shoot your opponent. This is your jinking starfighters. They're coming in too fast. Fa-doom. That's all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's slightly operatic. I like it. Yeah, and so that's it. And in terms of how long a starship combat round is, well, it's up to you. Because you're not really measuring distances. It could be 6 seconds, it could be fast, or there could be slow and dangerous and lots of things happening. And just to say, everybody can do something. You know what starship combat's like? It becomes like, oh, only the pilot does something, or the gunner. I've just got to make the tea because I'm the steward. But actually, everyone could do something. Well, I say everyone. The captain does something. The pilot's has got plenty to do, including rolling for position. The sensor operator's got lots of things they can do. Basically, everyone does one thing in a combat round. Gunner actions, like shooting stuff. Point defense if missiles are coming in. Fantastic. Launching sand to protect the ship from laser fire. Yeah, really, really nice. And there's some lovely optional rules about point defense, to streamline play if you've got large ships with lots of turrets. Great. I mean, I've not played it, but to be honest, great. Love it. I'm going to take you to a starship. Why not? We've been talking starship. Let's go to starships. Here they are. You can build your own starships in the game, and it's very quick. I like a lot of this. It's very quick. I wanted to show you a kind of a stat block for a starship. Now you can see it's relatively self-contained. It's not too big. It's not too complicated. This encompasses everything that you need. It tells you something about the type of armor that's heavy, crystalline armor. So look, what have we got here? It's got the maneuver, it's got the jump, it's the PowerPoint, the PowerPoint. I'm tired. Power plant and fuel. Constructing ships in Cepheus Deluxe is really simple. Fuel is often a thing which is important. It's very much component built. So armor is a percentage of your overall tonnage. So a tonnage is effectively your volume, and you basically fill your volume with stuff, drives, weapons. Fuel is simplified. Your power plant runs for a full year without having to have any fuel in it. The refueling is part of the maintenance. So that's simple to remember. Fuel is just really used for your hyperdrive, your jump drive, and it fills up a certain amount of volume. 800-ton ship, 240 tons of it is fuel to do your one jump 3 parsecs. That does mean for smaller ships, they've got a little bit more space to play with. So I think even a scout ship has got about 20 tons worth of its 100 tons of cargo, which I think before it probably had a bit less. So simple to apply and very quick in play. But of course, all the deck plans will look much the same. They'd be very, very slightly different if you're really worried about it, but you can use all the deck plans in any Traveller and it's absolutely fine. That actually is my quick tour around. So all I've done is I've just cherry picked a few things. If you look at the range of things you get access to, it's basically everything you're going to need to play. World creation, there's a few tweaks to it. I think it's a little bit different in places, but broadly it's compatible with the main Cepheus rules, the Cepheus SRD, and probably therefore compatible with any of the sector or subsector random world generation programs that are out there on the web. Fantastic. It does have robot encounters. The psionics chapter is in here. It's got some nice new psionics. This is mind powers. It's got its own chapter. It's all integrated. It's all there. Telekinesis, telepathy, all the usual ones. Teleportation, psionic equipment. Really, really good. The starship operations. So it shows you sort of how to run a starship. Basically, that's all there. There's some nice bits around the trading as well, the smuggling. There's almost some like events built into that, which means that trading is like an adventure in itself if you want to go down that route. But obviously you don't have to. I think this is an excellent version of Traveller. It's as simple as that. It has everything that I think I would need. It doesn't have vehicle generation, I don't think, in here. They're going to add that, I think, later. But, there's lots and lots of sort of vehicles already available to you that you can just, pick out and use. So that's kind of fine. Terrific game. Like I say, let me just go to the end, as it were. How many pages are we talking? Open game and licensing. All right, it's 221 pages. This is the character sheet. It comes with a series of game sheets as well, which for you to print out, including a sort of PDF fillable version, if you wanted to use that. It looks very familiar. The characteristics are the usual 6 that you'll find usually. The skill list is, as you would expect, if slightly simplified. There's some blending of skills there. The traits are in there. Nice. There's plenty of room for you to describe what they are. Hero points and so on. Very, very good. I'm going to get this to the table very, very soon. I have to. I say soon. Well, I don't know. I don't know quite when. But I'm hoping really, really soon. I really like it. I think it's great. I'm going to just I'm going to flip back for a moment and transition back to me. So bye, Cepheus. Yeah. I don't know where to go with what to say really. £7. I mean, incredible. That's just the PDF. The physical copy is coming at time of recording. end of September. I think it's only a few weeks away. Then we'll get the hard copy. It's, as you can see from the layout, it's a very sort of standard and simple layout. This is my base now for Traveller. I think I'm going to use this as my base. I might port in some other things from other versions of Traveller, as I feel I need to. I probably won't need to. There's something that I like to use for sort of personality, which is very easy to play. It's a 3-word personality game, and I tend to use that for Traveller. So there might be some things I do put in, but not very many. And I will put a link, in the sort of show notes to the drive-through place where you can get hold of Cepheus Deluxe. Terrific game, and done really well. It's one of those things where there's a lot of heart and soul gone into this blend. They've thought about it a lot, and they've come out, to my mind, with an excellent playable blend of Traveller. I'll certainly be using it. It's been interesting for me, when you do get the tingle, you just want to run it. And having got to that point, I've now started to think, well, where will I run it? What sort of a game will I run? I have some things that I could use. You could port it straight into the classic Traveller setting of the Third Imperium charted space. You could do that. You could absolutely do that if you wanted to. There are other settings out there as well. I've looked at Cosmos Age of Sail. Take a look at that. Richard Gorman. Really good. That's another possibility. I'm looking at that. But you know what? Something about this, the freewheeling nature of it, has made me want to pick up a sector generator, press the go button, edit it, chuck it into the Traveller map, which is an awesome resource and it will receive your custom built sector and draw you a big map, and then work on that map, create a custom setting, the Empire of Stars, and play. And I might do that. And there's something about the excitement, the tingles that the game has brought that's made me start to think about sort of Starship flying around weird space lanes of my own creation, and get it to the table, probably to Foundry, actually. I use the Forge, but Foundry's got a great, the 2D6 module on there is fantastic. I'm using that for Mega Traveller. I'm hoping that they do a little bit of dev on it and fully bring in some of these extra pieces that I've been showing you for Cepheus Deluxe, and I can run it, if you like, out of the box using the 2D6 module. I mean, I can now. I can use that module now with some sort of handwriting of, stamina and lifeblood, and maybe some sort of hand rolling of hero point effects and things like that if I want to do that. But as a module, it's a great place to go and play Traveller. I'm just excited and I wanted to share it with you. I'm burbling a bit now, so I'm going to stop. So Cepheus Deluxe, an absolutely brilliant version of Traveller for very, very little money. I'm looking forward to seeing more. I don't know why I'm looking forward to seeing more. The only thing I might add to it is some careers. I might add a few more careers if I feel like it, but you can port those in, create your career table. It's only a page. You're off. It's great. So exciting. Cepheus Deluxe. I may burble some more about it on the channel or on the podcast. But I'd recommend it to you. Take a look, and if you do get it, and take a look at it, or even play it. Obviously, play it. That's the important thing. Let me know down in the show notes, and I'm happy to sort of chat to you down there as well, just about any questions you might have about it. Okay, I'm gonna kind of call it a day there and say ta-ta. Thanks a lot. Cepheus Deluxe. It's pretty good. Cheers.